All right, let's do it.
Hello and welcome to the Hanging with Humans podcast. This is your host, RJ Ferreira, and I'm here in Sacramento, California with a new friend of mine, Bakhtiar. What's the last name? Bakhtiar Talash.
Sure.
Does that work?
Yeah.
That works. And how old are you, Bakhtiar?
38.
38. Sacramento, California is where we at, but where were you born, sir?
I was born and raised in Afghanistan.
In Afghanistan.
Yeah.
What part?
I was born in Kabul and I spent 20 years of my life something in Afghanistan, but I'm 38, so 18 years being immigrant here and
Nice.
there. Yeah.
How many years from when you left there the first time to when was the last time you went back? So how many years?
5
apart?
years ago.
5 years ago?
Yeah.
So the U.S. wasn't the first place you moved to outside of
No.
Afghanistan, no?
When I was 5 years old, my father, he was studying at the time in Moscow. He was doing his PhD.
Okay.
So we headed to Russia and living in Russia for 2 years when I was a kid. And then my father moved back to Afghanistan after completing his PhD. But he was a professor at the university.
Mhm.
So, but there was issues like that causes us to move out of Afghanistan. And then we had to head back to Pakistan. We were immigrants in Pakistan for 9 years. That's where I been to elementary school. And a portion of my middle school I concluded in Pakistan,
Okay.
mostly in the northwest provinces of Pakistan, which is a disputed territory between Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Is that how Americanized is the part of Pakistan that you went to school at and all that?
Americanized, I don't know.
So like when, for instance, when I flew into Kabul for the first time,
Yeah.
there was like KFC and
Yeah.
Starbucks and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? How is Pakistan in relation to like that?
At the time when I was there and I was a child, I don't really remember that I have seen any
Yeah.
KFC or McDonald's. And even I traveled in 2016 to Pakistan,
Yeah.
and particularly in Islamabad, I've never seen any McDonald's or KFC.
Really?
But when I headed to India, there was KFC and McDonald's for sure.
India is one place I haven't traveled to yet, but I really would like to. Do you recommend it?
Yeah, it's a quite nice place, nice historical, I think,
Yeah.
to visit, particularly Delhi and some other.
That would be really cool. So for context on how we met, I'm in Sacramento. I was gonna go to Modesto. I just flew in from LAX, but I'm on my kind of work traveling tour for the podcast, and I'm just trying to meet people along the way, people that I believe have interesting stories that can make an impact in other people's lives. And the short conversation we had in our Uber or Lyft, it was funny when I showed up to jump in your car. You were like, "Hold on, my phone, it's rebooting," because you was doing an update. So we had to like hang out in the car for a little bit and chill. So it's very nice to meet you.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, and I appreciate you doing this for me. So we're gonna jump into some stuff. I want to kind of begin with your childhood. And this is a question that just came up to me too. So I didn't know that your father was like highly educated as as well. How common is that? Like there to like have generationally families that have like gone to school, got the you have 2 master's degrees.
I have two.
We'll get into that later, but yeah.
We are a family. My sister, she's currently doing her PhD, and she lives in UK.
Okay.
And my brother, he has 2 bachelors and a master's. He is living in Australia, in Sydney.
Okay.
And my another brother, he has a master's degree from India. And my other brother, he is right now studying civil engineering in UK.
Nice. Dang, just a family of geniuses. That's cool. Who are you closest to out of your siblings?
I was very close to my father. He passed away last year.
Oh, sorry.
And he was not only a father, but he was a friend.
Yeah.
He was a brother. And yeah, he was the closest. I remember I've seen people when their father fathers are hard on them, and they say like, I don't like my father because he's so hard, he don't love me. But whatever I am today and whatever our family is today, all of my siblings, my brothers, sisters, it's all because of the hard push by my father. And I've been through very hard situation in my life, but it's because my father trained me as hard, so I be a very resilient human.
Yes.
I love my mother too, but
Yeah. You learn what you learn from who you
yeah,
learn from. That's awesome. He sounds like a very strong man.
mhm,
Yeah.
he was.
That's awesome, man. What did your mother do?
My mother, she was a teacher in Kabul. She was teaching in school, and yeah, she spent all her life teaching and educating uh, students and girls in Afghanistan.
That's awesome.
And yeah, she studied, she graduated long ago. And yeah,
That's awesome. Is she where's she at?
now she's in Sydney, Australia.
Oh, okay. With
Yeah,
your sister?
with
Or your
my
brother?
with my brother, and I have a little sister. Little sister means she's 26. She just got engaged,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, she lives with my sister right now. When my father passed away, then my mother and sister, they live together. While my brother is also close to them, so he takes a good care of my mother and my sister.
That's awesome. Is everybody in pretty good contact with each other, even though you're so far away?
Yeah, yeah, we are. We communicate with each other. Um, One thing that I learned from my father was that, if you were having good days, celebrate together. But if you were having bad days, you must be together.
Really?
So when it comes to any hard decision making in our family, since my father passed away, then they shoot me because I am the oldest
Yeah,
son.
yeah.
But I don't see myself to be the oldest son. I treat them all like friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all together, particularly when it comes to a hard situation. Right now, my brother is in Afghanistan, one of my brother, and we are kind of trying to take him out of Afghanistan because of the situation. Because in our family, everyone is out,
Yeah,
and that's causing some doubts that he might be in risk. So yeah, that's the hard, and we are all together to help him.
Yeah. What's the communication like with him right now?
Yeah, we communicate. I just talked to him today. He might be moving soon to one of the maybe to Albania with her wife, and we were all together. We before coming here talking to you, I was just on the phone with them.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys have like a plan and situation to try to get him out.
While we live in different continents,
It's crazy.
in Australia, US, Europe, and Asia, but we are still connected
See, that's
with
so
the heart and mind.
that's so important, man. It really is. Family really is everything.
So
So so you were born in Afghanistan. You lived in Pakistan, went to school. What does life in school like after that? Where do you go to next?
so when the 9/11 happened, my father was in depth of the politics of the time. The 2 years before, he was my sister. She was supposed to go to college, and we didn't have money for it. So I was telling my sister used to tell my dad that what we do because I'm interested to go to college, and my father said like, yeah, you will go to college in Afghanistan. And we were kind of amazed, like, we spent 9 years in Pakistan, but how would she go to college in a terrible country controlled by Taliban at the time?
Yeah.
My father's predictions and his thoughts were very keen. And when the 9/11 happened, like right after, we headed back to our home country and started living. And I finished my seventh grade in Pakistan and then continued with my higher education and high school in Afghanistan. And then right after finishing my high school, I headed to the university and studied law and politics. And then I had, during the uh, law school, I had the opportunity to represent my country in the international law moot court competitions that I told you, Jessup.
Yep.
So I represented Afghanistan in 2010, and that was the first time I would say that my life got a new shape to be connected with the let's call it the Western world. And then upon my graduation, I had very good colleagues that I'll name them. They were not only my instructors, but are good friends who instructed me and guided me to, work with them. And then I started working for the U.S. Department of State for the INL. Uh, and then had throughout I was single at the time, got married. But now I have two beautiful kids and my beautiful wife. Um, and upon completing my bachelor and having a job, I started studying, never stopped.
Never stop.
Did my first master's degree by 2014.
Nice.
And then by 2016, I had an opportunity for a merit-based scholarship to Austria. And I studied with the International Anti-Corruption Academy in Austria. Did my second master's degree. And yeah, that was a joy. Headed back, worked for a little bit. That's pretty much about my educational life.
That's amazing, man.
And we didn't talk about the United States, but when I came to United States, because of my anti-corruption studies, I was looking around what to do.
Yeah.
So I did study a little bit, and I got the membership of the Association of Certified Financial Crime Specialists, and did around 21 units with them. I was their member till 2023, and well, it's where the market pushes you. I did a boot camp on software development, and then had an opportunity to work with the world's biggest companies here in the U.S. I was employed by Apple as a software developer. Yeah.
Amazing. And you were telling me your wife's in school right now for software development. Right?
Yeah.
Is that something you pushed for her, or is it something she kind of just liked to do on her own, or how did that become?
Well, there are things as an immigrant you have to sacrifice when you are moving out of your comfort zone. She studied law back in Afghanistan, and she worked for the for the United Nations with the World Food Program, World WFP. When we were heading to United States right before, I had a plan, and I said, because the legal systems are different, so neither me nor her will be able to work as a lawyer or attorney here in the United States. But there was this opportunity in the tech industry where there is demand. And that's why I encouraged her 1 year before our move to the United States. And now she's doing pretty well, completed her college, and now she is on her second semester. I'm proud of her.
Yeah, man, you should be. California is a good place for getting into the tech world, for sure. So that was a solid move. So we've gone through schooling a little bit. What is it like? So I'm really glad that you brought this up. You were talking about your master's degree program and how it was a merit-based invite through scholarship. How do you feel about the fact that it was something like you got this opportunity because of surely your hard work and your brain, your determination, over the fact that there are a lot of programs that not give these, but these scholarships go to whether it's a certain type of ethnicity or other whatever guidelines there are. That's got to feel good to know that you battled through everybody and you made it through the top.
Yeah. I mean, when one of my friend, he was studying for the same program, and he told me that give it a try, and I never thought, and I'm not thinking that I'm an intelligent guy or but I went through the interview, and I have to write some statements and stuff, and the scholarship was actually globally,
Globally too.
merit based, and
That's
it was not like we had scholarships back in Afghanistan like Fulbright or Chevening, or we had PPP. They call it public private partnership, held by the U.S. Embassy in Kabul. So they were particularly for Afghans.
Yeah.
And the program I got into was not particularly for Afghans. It was globally competitive scholarship. I'm glad I made it. And I mean, no one knows its potential as long as someone else measures it. Uh, whenever I meet people and I talk to them about what I did and what I am doing, they tell me that you must be very intelligent, or be smart.
Yeah.
And I don't see myself to be very smart, very intelligent. But one thing that I know, I have a potential. I'm giving an example. I used to work. We had on our way. We had this discussion of people will say he's good for nothing in my office. One thing that I realized, and I disclosed that to my supervisor at the time, and I told her that you give me the task and I complete those tasks very fast. But I just want to let you know that, you throughout the 5 years of the project, you didn't explore and extract 2% of my energy. And she was surprised, and she said, like, why did you tell me at the end of the project? And I said, you never asked me. So I have the potential. I mean, whatever I want to do, give it a try, put hard work into it, it turns. Right now, I'm into green vehicle technology. I'm studying green vehicles at American River College. And some of my friends, they told me, like, man, you should be teaching, you should be working in an office. What are you doing? Like, I love cars. And that's why I got into, like, I see it from the business perspective as well. California, green vehicles, future business as well. But I'm into it, and I learn it. It's fun. Playing around with it.
Right? Yeah, you love cars. Like, why would you not get in a field that involves that as well? That's awesome. Damn it, I had a really good question. So with your pursuit of education, is it solely for the purposes of financial stability, or is it like some people, they just like to learn, and then they just keep, no matter how many degrees they got, they still got a book open, or they're still in a class or anything like that? What is it that lights a fire for you to want to continue your education?
So it's like my previous professions, like law and anti-corruption, public international law and politics. That's the profession that I don't really look at it from the perspective of, financial perspective. That's a goal that I will live my life with it. And I do it. I've been teaching law for 7 years, and I never go to a university to ask them, like, how much is my salary? And I would do it as long as it exists. Doesn't matter someone pays me or not. But the other part of my life is, my financial stability as well as an immigrant. Because when you destabilize and move, you have to build things from scratch. And I think whatever I'm studying right now, one is my interest. And as I said, I love cars. I want to play around with them. And beside that, I see the financial opportunity as a business as well. So, you can play around with the things that you love, but definitely I will, once I set up the business, and, it will take 5-10 years. And then I'll go back and do my PhD and maybe start teaching at one of the universities for free.
There you go. When you get to that level, like, why not help out and give back? That's amazing, man. So was it United Stars, JMIF? What is that? Okay, so education, we got that down. When did you how did you and your wife meet, though? you had already graduated, right? Like your first, you got your bachelor's,
Yeah. So
and then
how did I meet my
yeah,
wife,
yeah.
and how did we engage in marriage?
Yes.
So I'm an Afghan. Most of Afghans, we live a traditional life.
Mhm.
While I wouldn't say that's the case for every Afghan.
Yeah.
My sister, she married to someone she loved and she knew.
Yes.
And my brother, he married to someone he knew, and they got engaged and married each other.
Yeah.
For me, it was different.
Yes.
I was busy with my studies and my life, and I didn't have an opportunity to look around.
Mhm.
And when my younger brother, who lives now in Sydney, he got engaged, and my mother's attention was on me.
Mhm.
Like, look at your younger brother, he got engaged, and you are like
Yeah.
single right now.
Mhm.
Do you know anyone? Because we are, while we are traditional community and society,
Mhm.
but our family, they do respect, like, if you like someone,
Yes. That's good.
then I told her, like, I don't know anyone, and I have no idea. And then my mother, she was, in contact with, since she was teaching in school, she got connected and found my wife.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's she showed her picture to me and told me about their family, and
Yeah.
and yeah, and the one word, the word that I had to my mother, it's like, I'll make sure keep her happy, as long as she is also, part of our big family, taking care of you people.
Yeah.
And it happened, like, we hit it very strong. I have never heard of a lot of people that they don't know each other, they got engaged and married for 11 years, like we are right now.
Never really.
And I'm not saying that we don't argue, we have conflict of interest sometimes,
Of course.
but even with that conflict of interest, we come together with the one shared and common goal to live together and proceed with the good days we had and the hard days we have right now. Stuff. We're in. I have to the United States. I know a lot of good things. There is turbulence all the time in your life.
There.
So yeah, it's right now I feel I'm one of the luckiest having her.
Yeah.
I have beautiful kids.
Yep.
And I think they will one day be serving this nation, this country, in the interest of this country. And I'm proud of them. They are my daughter. She is a proud girl. I love her. And my son, he's a very intelligent and talented boy.
I could see that. That's awesome, man. And I love that you have those goals set that they're going to be giving back to this place too,
Yeah.
as well, right?
I mean, I don't feel being strange to this community, to this environment, to this country. I do understand politics, but it really matters in terms of how I get back from people around me. I've never been discriminated. As I said, there are here and there that I know how to defend myself.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, if I'm here, this nation deserves, serving back, because they live here. I'll be a U.S. citizen in a couple of months, and I mean, the oath we take, it's gonna be the oath. Yeah.
That's amazing. Random question. So you got married 5 years ago?
11 years.
11 years ago. Before that, what does the dating scene look like for you? You're so crazy busy with school, travel, and everything. How did that work for you at the time?
So, I mean, one thing that's very kind of, dating people before you are married, it's kind of, people do it, and I never had a chance. I mean, there are two things. Maybe I was very, not charming guy. No one was interested in me, or maybe I didn't have the time. One thing that I realized, that you should have the skill to connect with people and communicate. I don't know. Maybe I didn't have the skill to. I think I'm still a shy guy when it comes to. I'm very social, but I think I'm still a shy guy when it comes to connecting with ladies.
Yeah. I mean,
so I think that was the reason with
got it.
no chance. Yeah, no.
Wow.
But once I'm connected to people, like,
Yeah.
you know, they
Yeah.
will find like, you know, I'm a very socialized guy. Yeah,
First interactions are kind of tough for
yeah,
people.
yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? So that's good to hear. I want to go to we got fatherhood, traveling. This is gonna be a good one. I travel a lot. I've been traveling my whole life. You have also been traveling
Yeah,
your whole
yeah.
life. How many different countries have you been to?
I think I've been to all to 4 continents.
All of them. Huh?
I've been to so I was immigrant to Pakistan where I spent 9 years. Um, then I had the opportunity to travel twice to Pakistan in 2016. I've been to India. I've been to Turkey. I've been to Austria, to Germany, to Czech, to Slovak. I've been to Australia last year twice. Um, yeah, that's pretty much I've visited these countries. In the United States, here I didn't say United
Come
States.
on.
The first time I flew in a airplane was in 2010
Really?
while I was heading to United States. I was super excited to be on an airplane.
I couldn't even imagine that for the first time ever
Yeah,
going over
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
From like TV and movies and everything, and what you hear about the United States, did it live up to that when you got here?
Well, in terms of the environment, I would say yes. That's what you see and what you expect and what you see. But there are different perspectives in terms of when you are first landing into a country and you know you see people in the environment, the culture might look a little bit different than the one you live in.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it wasn't different because I lived my life while I was a child in Russia. So it wasn't very different in terms of the traditions and culture and religion. Uh, but to a lot of my colleagues who traveled with me at the time, it was very different. Yeah, true. And this is one of the challenges I think the Afghan community or the Islamic traditional communities have here in the United States that prevents them from being connected to other people. You know, they think they are treated differently, while I think they are not.
Yeah.
But they should break those boundaries and start connecting with the real world.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at every community here in the US, for instance, the Afghan community, Indian communities, Ukrainians, or to look at others, they're all kind of strictly, you know, within the boundaries of their own communities. They less communicate with other people. So that even causes kind of a misperception and understanding that, you know, maybe these immigrants are kind of wild. They are not used to our traditions and environment and our communities. While I think that there should be an interaction, you know, in terms of those who were immigrated to this country 100 years ago, or maybe you call it the Americans. They should get in touch with these people, learn from them, or let the immigrants learn from the culture, from the society, from the food, and you know the way they look at the world. I
Right.
mean, that's important.
Why do you think they're so unwilling to want to learn and adapt?
I think the first thing that I see myself as an immigrant is that I think sometimes that if I connect with people here other than our own communities, our acceptance rate might be very low. And, you know, that's something. And I think right now, while I speak to you, my language might be as broken as you can think of. And the second thing I see is the language barrier. So when they communicate, they think I can't talk, you know. But one thing that I realize is that as long as you can carry few words to tell someone something, And if they are interested, they will listen to you.
Yeah.
Never mind. They will connect with you regardless of your language capabilities.
Yes.
But yeah, these are the two things that I think are currently preventing most of the communities that maybe if I connect with an American while I'm an immigrant, they will see me differently because of that's what we define before connecting.
Yeah.
What I would say is that every community, not saying about the Afghan community, every community should, start engaging. I've never seen, there might be some people that they are not interested to hear about us,
Yeah.
but most of them will,
Yeah.
and particularly if you are well educated, your boundaries, we should.
We should.
So, yeah.
No, absolutely. When I was a kid, there was a huge language barrier when I went to Portugal every summer, right? When we came back to the US, my dad never spoke it to us, so we never, kept it. But when we went there, even though we'd speak 4 or 5 words to someone, they still were so happy that we were there,
Yeah.
because we only got to visit once every year or whatever. So even if we could barely understand each other, it was enough to feel at home,
True.
and I think there could be maybe programs when people come over, because I see a lot of things when it comes to immigration where nobody can name the founding fathers and all that stuff. Right, you should be able to pass a test or something. But I do think there should be more integration of culture.
Sure. And I see that there are a lot of programs run by the immigrant based organizations here in the US, particularly, I think there is one IRC, International Rescue Committee. What they do, I mean, with all the pros they have providing help for resettlement, they don't have such programs where they can, solely think of a clear integration with the US community. And that's what I see is if we are heading to college, right? So you will see 2, 3 Afghans sitting together and away from the others, And what I see, tell them, you go to school or you're connected somewhere, you are in a coffee shop, talk to people.
Yeah.
Let them know about you. Talk to them. Let them know that one thing that I know, the United States, immigrants are the sole portion of the United States right now, regardless of the politics will ignore it or will accept it. It's the people that they have to come together in things together.
Absolutely.
They should integrate. In terms of these nonprofit organizations, they should also have some programs where it starts very small. If I was leading any of those organizations, it would have been very important for the state as well. I will just make what they do right now is that, for Afghans, they make a ceremony or a festival where all Afghans come together.
Yeah.
Make a festival, make a festival where Americans who left here will come together with immigrants and let them talk about their self, let them engage, share their ideas, neighbors to neighbor. That will give them more understanding of these immigrants. Should you be scared of them in the coming 20 years? Should you be scared of their kids in coming 10 years? I've seen people, they live in our neighborhood and they don't know me, right?
Yeah.
I have one neighbor who have been to Afghanistan. He was in Kandahar.
Yeah.
And he would say in Pashto to me, hey, Sange, hey, how are you doing? And stuff. And he's connected because he has an understanding of an Afghan who he left with back in Afghanistan. And he knows that these people, that you can trust them and you can live your life, you can integrate, you can communicate. Absolutely. But those they don't know, they might be scared of okay, even if I sit in an Uber, if I see this guy having a beard and a little bit brownish color, let's not talk to him.
I don't know. My whole life, all I want to do is just get to know people and understand people. So, and then there's also that commonality that I was in Afghanistan too.
Yeah.
So since we're on that subject, I remember we were walking here and we brought up the question about, you were asking me, if you want to ask it again, but basically about why the Americans are dealing with the PTSD and the
Trauma.
depression the way that they do when somebody like yourself was
Yeah.
kind of brought up in it.
Yeah.
And you know, you seem to be doing very sound mentally. You know what I mean? So
To an extent.
to an extent, yeah. So what was the question exactly?
So my question was that you told me about your story that you have been once you were after being in Afghanistan, like you've been through a trauma and depression, and then I ask you the question that what is it that makes you a Sec, because you spent like half year in Afghanistan, but as I told you, I spent. I'm 38, and I think the day I born there were rockets coming all over the hospital. You know, and even with that, you know, I'd also lived my life in military camps back in Afghanistan where there were, you know, suicide attacks and shooting and, you know, the bombings and everything. And even we were higher targets, you know, because you would just walk home and if they realized they would kill us right away. But there was not that depression exist at the time. I mean,
you don't have time to be depressed when your life is on the line at all times.
So my question was like, why are you and as I told you, I've seen a lot of documentaries and stuff where the U.S. military and army forces, they were way badly depressed while being in combat zones in Iraq or Afghanistan. And I said, like, is there any way we, as Afghans who lived their whole life in combat zone, and would be able to help RJ such as you?
I mean, I'm not sure if it's something that can be taught to fix, because it's kind of just how I like repeating what I say. I think it's just kind of how we were raised, like the way we were brought up, right? Like, this is not a desert. This has, you know, electricity. This has paved roads. This has anything we want is at our fingertips, right? It's like, so we're so babied. We have everything. You sign up to go do something and you don't know exactly what that is, right? Like, we don't have to wake up to rockets every day. So it's not like ingrained in us to be afraid of things like that. So when you go out there after this life, you know, whether it's a good life or a bad life that you lived before you go off and deploy, it's still not the life you're about to live. It's so vastly different than anything you've ever experienced. But for you, that's all you experience. So I think it's just programming. You know, as a child, while your brain's developing, they're the most important years of your life of becoming who you are as a person. And if all of that is filled with trauma, or if it's all filled with what it is, you know, negative, even if it is super negative, but if it's all you know, it's all you know. So you're so very appreciative. Like the fact that you left and came over here, you'll never have to deal with that ever again, right? Like that alone should keep you from being depressed, you know? And I'm sure that does in a way, right? It built you for that. But I don't know, for other people, I know for me in particular, I'm very close to people. I consider myself an empath. My feelings, I can't hide them, right? Like if I'm sad, you're gonna see it on my face. If I'm happy, you're gonna see it on my face. That's just how I am. I'm upfront with who I am and my feelings. It was almost not having to deal with that anymore was a good thing, but I feel like I lost a certain family or a special bond that I had that I'll never get again. And that when I became a civilian and I went out into the world, although that was a traumatic time and experience, I'm more depressed that I don't have those people to rely on. People that I trust, that have your back no matter what, that it doesn't matter if mortars are flying, 20 feet from your tent or whatever. At least you're running out there with a guy that you know will never do you dirty. He's always gonna hold you down, have your back. He's gonna be there to, it's so lost in this society out here. And that's kind of like a big thing that fucks with me. I've always been ingrained to deal with loss and trauma. Like my whole life it's been like a crazy ride. So like in my head, that's normal. That's normal stuff. But for other people, if you're just thrown out there and you're 18 years old and all you knew your whole life was working on a farm and playing football, that's a big deal to watch somebody bleed out or to, you know, kick somebody, make sure their eyeballs aren't moving so that way, you know, they're not going to get up and kill you. Like those are just different things. We're not, you were probably used to sleeping in wherever you could, you know what I mean? Like, we have beautiful bedrooms and air conditioners and everything, you know? So it's like, once you flip that switch to be in that more like primal state of mind, I don't think it's not easy to like
I think
turn that off.
that's how you define it. You know, to an extent, I agree with you, but if you look at me, I never been into any combat zone. I never been in army. I never had an arm or any gun.
Yeah.
But I did live, right? And the point is, like, I spent all my life studying, you know. I had never been engaged. But yeah, one thing that I have seen was that where I agree with you is that, yeah, there were explosions, there were people killed, that same thing that you have seen on the news, and I saw it maybe a little bit closer sometimes, you know. But overall, it's all our own mindset on how we can, you know, train our mind to think, to take things simple, you know. And that is where it works with everything. That's we call it a crisis management, you know. And you can be sitting in a nice garden, like you're sitting here, nice view, Old Sacramento, a town of 1800. No one's bothering us, but you're still depressed for no reason. And it's what and how you are putting your mind. Like, if I tell you, when I left the country, like came to the United States permanently, I went through a lot of hard time and depression. I don't know while I'm resisting, but I don't know whether I'm good or not, because it's not only those bombs. There is another sort of life that you have to fight for. You know, you have to find your social position again that you lost. Education, people, life, respect, and now I'm an Uber or Lyft driver, right? So there is this big gap, and I mean, in terms of that depression and anxiety and trauma, they can be different than each other a lot. And like the way right now I'm fighting, I would tell you, it's not like only me, but thousands of Talash are fighting that depression, and they are fighting for their future here in the United States. It's not less than being in a combat zone. You know, you were a teacher, you have been teaching at the university. No one gives you a shit right now being an Uber driver. They see you as an illiterate, right? I used to work. I had a very nice job. I had a good business that I was running. So I studied a lot. I put all the hard work, and the result will be being an Uber and Lyft driver. You know, I had a nice home where I was living, the nice bed that you defined. Now I live in a small apartment where, you know, all cockroaches are on my head day and night, but I am fighting. It's to me, being in Afghanistan with those rockets was a war zone, but right now dealing with all this depression is another war that I am fighting. But I never surrender. I'm strongly fighting back. You know, I was working as a software developer. They laid me off. One thing that I know for sure about myself, when something goes down for me, I would keep that smile. And I was fired once, and the HR manager came to me and said, like, man, we fired those other guys and their color is yellowish and they barely breathe. Why you were smiling? Why you were keep laughing? And I said, like, man, if you fired me, it doesn't mean that I wouldn't have another job. I will try to come back here and work with you again. And I have that confidence.
Yeah.
Trust me, I was at home, spent 2 months, enjoyed my life, and came back and sit on the same desk again. That's the level of confidence where you can fight back with the depression that you have.
Yeah. You're so right. You're so right. You have to actually go through those dark times and pull yourself out of them, or else the good things you get don't really matter.
Yeah.
You have to do that. So I'm really glad you said that. It is a war that you're fighting as well. So I think another thing is combating the depression. People go straight to alcohol and drugs. You know what I mean?
That's another depression.
Exactly. And so I think, is that a cultural difference? Do you think us, like as Americans, we chase our feelings, our pain and depression with drugs and alcohol?
Well, I think
because you're not out of control right now.
So what here is like, there are two perspectives on this. One is the perspective that the business world and some people would tell you that if you were depressed, go take these tabs. And the other would say like, go have a smoke.
Oh yeah.
Go try weed or marijuana. It's good for your depression. That's one mindset. I have studied and I taught criminology.
Yes.
Where it is the study of the reason for people committing a crime. And then there are all thoughts that if you are on drugs, right, that drug, people might think it's gonna harm me only and no one else, or it will help me reduce my depression or fight a problem that I have, which it is not. That will feel good the first couple of times that you use it, but if you are not using it, then you will be depressed. For instance, go to the pharmacies, and all people, they take those depression pills, antidepressant pills, over the counter, and they just use it. That's normal life. And maybe throughout my life I have maybe I took twice the antidepressant tabs.
Yeah.
And it was once here in the United States where I got depressed, and then I knew it will not help me permanently, but temporarily it can help you. But the other point is that people believe in religion. They have some faith, and they go and pray, and then they come back and they are relieved. The way they said, like, okay, yeah, God says there are hard days, there are good days, you have to do this and that, and they pray and they come stronger, right? That is another way where you do it. And the next way, like if we compare it to our own cultures, right?
Yeah.
It's like people are into drugs to treat depression. I even know doctors.
Yeah.
They are psychiatrists, but they are on drugs.
Yeah.
And I have seen, and I'm talking about my own country.
Yes.
Like I've seen people, they tell you like, go submit to God, pray, be with yourself and your God. And then there is another group, they will tell you like, beside whatever you do, continuous exercise will help you fight depression. And I think one of the ways I was able to fight my war of depression being in the United States. Many immigrants will hide it, but that's the reality.
Yeah.
And that was that you have to be at the gym no matter what, every day, 2 hours, 1.5 hours. Just, play around with all these bagels.
It's actually really good.
It's run and walk. It keeps you very stable than, being on drugs. We know, like, drugs, how would that help you being using antidepressant drugs, and you'll be very happy.
I've been off of all of those for a lot of years, mostly because I dove into psychedelics and mushroom psilocybin, stuff like that. I'm into things along the lines of it comes from the earth, the most likely it's good for us. Like there's different ways to look at that.
To an
To an
extent.
extent, yeah.
To an extent.
But I would still rather go that route than go into the pharmacy any day of the week. And
I mean, what I understand, like whatever that exists in the nature,
Mhm,
there are things good, there are things bad.
mhm.
Let me tell you of the explosives,
Yes.
right? It's bad because you can make of it a bomb and kill someone.
Mhm.
It's good where you can use it for good purpose, like the nuclear energy and stuff,
Yeah.
So everyone should look at it from the perspective, from that perspective. Like we'd say, okay, for instance, psychedelics. Have you seen a a documentary on Netflix called Wild Wild Country?
Yes, of course. Very
You
good
know,
documentary.
they were using that,
With them, yeah.
so
Oh, yeah. I know.
and mixing it with the think of religion and Buddhist thoughts and whatever. And then they will say, like, we treat people that they are depressed. And have you seen how they were left again in a very bad situation? So it all depends that from which angle you are using this environment and whatever is in it,
Yeah.
regardless of your faith, regardless of your religion. What I think is that God gave humans that brain and the independence to think about stuff. I've seen many people, when it comes to religious beliefs, they say, like, there is a belief that you should believe. Don't talk about it anymore because you are not allowed. But I say, think as much as you can. That's why God brought you in here, to think, explore, have things, enjoy them. But as long as you are not harming yourself.
Yeah. No. This is the most safest and most least turbulent and the most stable like part of my life, like right now. And I do attribute a lot of that to not drinking anymore. That was a big one for me. But that's my journey, though. Everybody, I want everybody to just be happy. Whatever makes you happy, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, then to each their own. We'll do a couple more questions and we'll finish off here in a little bit. We were talking about the integration process of immigrants and here. How much do you think religion plays a part in the not wanting to combine? Maybe because different faiths sometimes can conflict.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's a good question. And I mean, for some Muslims, it might be a barrier that prevents. And I think the beauty of this country is that based on the U.S. Constitution, you have the right to religion.
Yes.
And it didn't define that if you are in this territory, then you should follow this religion.
Mm-hmm.
And that what gives, I mean, to me as a Muslim, it's first thing is that I've not been prevented so I can exercise my religion. First, that tells me a lot about this society, this community, this country, and the people. And the second thing with regard to integration is religion causing or not? I would say if Muslims, they have a good historical study, then they would realize that, the difference between religions is something that you can, as our own religion says that everyone has the right to religion and they have the right to practice their religion. So if I as a Muslim practice and someone else as a Christian or Judas practice their own religion, that should not bother me. And that's what my religion taught me, the real religion. The real religion. I'm not talking about the radical religion interpretation that wants me to hate a Judaist or a Christian or a Buddhist. If you look at it from the historic perspective, Muslims, they used to live shoulder to shoulder in one community with Christians, with Judists, in a place where it's been a war zone for 70 years. I'm talking about Jerusalem. You know, they used to live together. Okay, they share the finances. They do business together, and look at it from different perspectives. So there are two things for Muslims. They should understand, if they don't, that that's what the real Islam is. And for for non-Muslims that we are in their country, they should also understand that, okay, yeah, for most of them I think it is, but for some of them they might be considering them that we are practicing a religion which is a radical religion. One thing that I see the beauty of Muslims in the United States is that most of Muslims in the United States, they are the real and true Muslims. They are, I mean, I wouldn't say 100%, but 99% of them are not radical Muslims.
I agree with that.
Have you been to Texas? And there is a guy named Noman Ali Khan. This guy, he teaches you and gives you a perspective of beauty of the religion of Islam, right? Even like that is a hot topic today in Afghanistan, that Taliban wants women to be covered fully when they go out. And I mean, this guy will come and teach you the way that if in some cases even you don't need to cover your hairs, your face. It all depends on that. You have to look at the environment in the community. For instance, he says, like, if you go to your office and all of a sudden you see that covering your head, which most Muslims do, will prevent you from employment, then don't wear it.
Don't wear it.
But the beauty I see here, like, I go to college, I did work. My wife, she's studying at the university. She would go with her head covered. She wears the way she should. No one bothers, and no one disrespects her. And I think to an extent they are respected as well, in a way that she is a traditional woman. People, the moment they get in touch, they start to know a little bit more about the boundaries of the way you talk to someone else. You cannot you wouldn't talk to a Muslim girl you meet, she's covered up and in a way. So I think that's the beauty. And I think both sides, like I'm talking about Muslims, they should integrate into other communities. One is it depends. It relates to every human. Like, if I want to follow another religion, right? There are some strict boundaries that I wouldn't talk about it. Like, that's the interpretation. People say, like, in Islam, you cannot convert into other religion, I wouldn't talk about those things because that's most complicated and philosophical stuff that will take a lot of time.
It's not needed.
But overall, I would say, like, let's integrate. Let's know each other. End of the day, there is one religion, and we call it the religion of God, and that ends to humanity.
Right.
And we, regardless of our religion, faith, belief, we should treat each other first thing first as a human.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what is your color, what is your religion, what do you believe in, right? We should treat each other as a human. I feel very sorry for the world today. If I mean, it's been throughout the history. They fight for the name of religion. They fight for economy or whatever. But if people think of stuff the way that we are all human and we have human rights and we should treat each other with humanity, I think no one will stand up and kill another human.
I think so.
And I believe the creator of this planet, this world, right, put enough resources in this planet, that we can for everyone. But it's we humans that we are unjust. I'm not saying that, there shouldn't be a capitalist world, there shouldn't be a liberal market.
Yeah.
What I understand is that there should be an equal distribution of wealth per the hard work and talent and intelligence of every human,
Absolutely.
which I think is not. We are heading somewhere to get someone's wealth and believing that, if I take your wealth, there is, wealth for me and a prosperous life, which I don't think so. That is the case.
Yeah. I don't think so either.
Uh-huh.
Dang it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's it for
I had a really good question to follow that up. Let's see. One second. Sorry, buddy. I get to get all this stuff out. I think. Let's see. Okay. I'm really glad we talked about all of that. Honestly, I think that's what I was gonna say. So when you talk about humans, the human experience, that's what we are, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. That's how I grew up. For whatever reason, no matter what, I cannot see. Like, obviously, we're different skin colors, but that's never mattered my entire life. I grew up around nothing but Black people, Mexican people. I'm like Portuguese. Where I lived over in Modesto, like I was like a white boy there, right? Just because of the way I grew up. So I never have been able to see the difference in people, like in the best way possible. It's like I'm colorblind. And that's kind of why I started doing this. I didn't realize how much all over that we're so quick to judge, or we're so quick to discriminate, and sometimes it's not even on purpose. It's just like in you. It's just the way we're built. So
one thing that I know, in our country, we have a small country, 30 million people.
Yeah.
So we also have different tribes, cultures and stuff. And then it comes a little bit of discrimination in there as well, right?
Really?
So what I understand is that people do not play any role in discriminating people. It's kind of, politics plays a key role in shaping that, hate and discrimination. That's what I understood. And it's not that our country maybe has 15% literal population and 30 or 65 or 70% illiterate population.
Yeah.
But overall, when you see the illiterate population, they live without any discrimination. They live alongside each other, but they educate, they know politics, and then they come together, sit with a group of people whose political interest defines to discriminate, so they benefit from.
I think with higher education can sometimes bring classism.
Yeah,
and,
true.
And whether you want it or not, like who you're with around at all times, I think that in general, whoever is close to you that you surround yourself with, it's important that those people are good people or want what's best for you, or have goals and are heading in the right direction, because you're just like a little bit of everyone around you.
Yeah.
So I think when you're in that field of academia, of very higher end sort of society minds, there comes with what you say. Like,
there is one thing, high academia, they are, to me, complete. There is a circle for education and being academian, scholar, and they are good human. If you are not going through that circle, right, or completing the circle, and you miss any dot or couple of dots in that circle, then the circle is not complete. That's where this stuff comes. When we are talking about, I spend my life being an academic around people who were at the university, like the teachers, students.
Yeah.
But I found people who really go around the circle and complete the circle, they understand. They never fall into the hands of politics, where the politics seems to be benefiting from discrimination.
Yes.
That
makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It really does. I am going to go into, we're getting close to the end, but I've learned about your past, a little bit about your present. What are your future plans? I know you're driving Lyft or Uber right now, and good on you for having this huge educational background and not being too good to do something like that. So good on you. But what are your future plans for you, your wife, your kids, with business? I'd like to know what you got going ahead of you.
So right now I only have one goal. Uh, I mean, I wouldn't call it a goal, but a plan for the time being.
Yeah.
And the plan is to set up, to study, to complete my associate with green vehicle technology and start a small business and get it go.
Yeah.
Stabilize the business. And
Yeah.
for my wife, she will complete her education. And, you know, my wife and I, we have a company called AlgoSoft where we do software development. We did train a lot of people on softwares for the last 3 years, and the goal up there setting up the company was, I think, somewhere around one of these buildings.
Nice.
There, I had my own office, but we had to shut it down because of the economic turbulence.
Yes.
But the goal is that my wife will go complete her education and support AlgoSoft in the future.
Amazing.
And yeah, I will. And the end goal will be I'll do my PhD and go and teach again. And yeah, I mean, it never ends for me that I will only, because I live in the United States, at the end of the day, it will be only the United States. I still have the intention to serve Afghanistan. I'm waiting for the time whenever it's good. So
That's awesome.
I will keep myself updated. I follow the news. I keep myself, unfortunately, good or bad.
Yeah.
I studied politics. That's where I wouldn't leave it. And so that's pretty much the plan and the goal we have with my kids. There is different perspective of other people that I see. So they educate their kids only here because they go to school, they get a job or run a business. But I want my kids to be culturally connected with their home country as well, so they know the values of those people and the country as well.
Yeah.
So you never know if there is need tomorrow or one day when they grow up and they have to serve back the people in the nation where they were once belonged to.
That's really
So that's the goal. So that's one of the reasons I keep my kids involved with the Afghan community, so they learn from each other. And yeah, so they grow as a Afghan American who knows both values at the same time.
It's important. And then especially showing them, it gives you appreciation for what you have here. you
Yeah.
know? So I do think that's very important. Do you have, oh, I was just gonna say one thing. We were talking about nonprofit and stuff. So that's what I'm doing with this.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's just an LLC right now. The podcast, we're traveling, interviewing people. The money stuff will come when it comes, I'm not worried about that at all. But everything that has come is just getting reinvested into this
Yeah.
anyways. So it really doesn't matter too much. But once I do get everything set up for the nonprofit, I'm gonna be doing well, basically all the money that people can donate to this is going to be helping the people that I talk to on the podcast. So, you're doing all right, but, let's just say you are somebody that was in a much worse position, down on their luck. I'm going to be able to help that person get on their feet. Maybe that's go to rehab. Maybe it's a plane ticket, home, see their kid, like whatever it may be. That's kind of a thing I want to do with this, as well as I told you about the therapy range and everything. So I'm fully engulfed in this right now. And all that is just trying to help people. So I appreciate that with all you have going on, you still have thoughts on wanting to give back, whether that's through your kids and, that I think that's very important. So yeah, man, I think think we did it. I think we did a really good one, man. I just want to say thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So
Seriously.
I would say to your, viewers or whoever is watching, I don't know. Forgive me if I miss some of the words with the broken English that I have. It was pleasure talking to you, RJ.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I really appreciate it. We're gonna stay in contact, and
Yeah,
we're gonna
sure,
link up
sure.
again. And
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna see where you're doing,
Uh-huh.
how you're doing, all that stuff, man.
All
Well,
right.
thanks again.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Till the next one.
Bye.
Peace. Yeah, buddy.